Atheist Edge. I'm Courtney here with Aron Ra, a little starstruck. How are you today?
It's all right. Having fun. The confrontation is always a charge.
Yeah. So have you kind of heard any of Pastor Jeffress's arguments about this yet?
He has arguments? No. I've heard Pastor Jeffress say a whole bunch of objectionable things, and this is while trying not to listen to him. So, I avoid him as much as I can, but every now and then something makes the news. Like when he wanted to, he thought he had a friendly and fun way to get people in the Christmas spirit, and that was by arranging to have his ministry boycott their businesses. So people's livelihoods were supposed to suffer if they didn't bow to him and say Merry Christmas instead of Happy Holidays. So you can't be inclusive of all your customers, or we'll threaten you with with a backlash.
Yeah.
So and he thought that was fun, and he said that with a smile.
Yeah.
But now he's wanting to say that America is a Christian country, and of course we have every way to prove that.
Right.
They're not interested in proof. They're interested in make-believe, and can you make the people believe? And that's the big problem. So you get somebody like this, you get all these people, and you think that he's on the moral side. Why? Because he's the liar. And we're the liars because we can verify that what we're saying is true, apparently. That's the upside-down reality we have.
Yeah. So any suggestion on how to engage with people who are kneeling in the street praying for us?
You can't reach everybody, especially when they're that age, and when they think that they have no idea what our position is. And it's amazing when you get a chance to talk to somebody like that and explore their mind, to get them to explain to you what their perception is. And you're like, my reaction is that I'm typically aghast that somebody can be that deluded. Like we asked somebody the other day, what did you think microevolution is? Microevolution. The guy said, microevolution is when you stick your head in water and you grow gills. Wow. I asked somebody else once upon a time, what do you think evolution is? And she says, one group of molecules gathers together to become a man, and another group of molecules gathers together to become a fish. Wow. When you've got people that have been lied to that badly and never, ever in their lives encouraged to think or analyze or be skeptical, well, they've always been told that skepticism is cynicism, and that the skeptics and the cynics miss out on the awe and wonder that only the believers can understand. So you're just supposed to swallow, with credulity, whatever they tell you.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. How do you reach those people when they've never had a grasp of objective thought? I was just having an argument with a girl down the street here who was telling me that she can verify the truth of what she says. Okay, do it. So she shows John 3:16. No, you're going to show me how John 3:16 is true, not show me John 3:16. The claim is not the proof.
Right. Yeah.
The assertion is not the evidence, but they don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, and that's the world that they live in, is that they live in a world of assertions without anything to back them up.
As long as you sound confident. It doesn't matter what a liar you are. It doesn't matter how wrong you are. As long as you sound confident. And nobody understands religion better than I do. I am the best at religion. Believe me.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the argument. So with Pastor Jeffress's argument, he kind of focused on. I went to the sermon, which was fun. There were fireworks and streamers and waving flags and military personnel. With the message, he was focusing on state constitution and Supreme Court rulings and decisions from really early. And then as you go further out in history, you're getting a more separation of church and state argument being made. Do you have any response to that?
I'm kind of bewildered at the people that I've run into and the way that they claim things. America is a Christian country, according to the one person I was just talking to a few minutes ago, because she said so.
Ooh.
Because why? She was told that it's America, and that's the argument. America is a Christian country, and I can prove it because the founders were Christian. No, they weren't. I can find the tripod of bases for anyone's position. All three legs are going to be falsehoods, all of them, or they're going to be falsehoods, frauds, and fallacies.
So outside of the argument today, other groups that he's kind of spoken against is LGBT, Catholics.
He spoke against the Mormons. He refused to endorse Mitt Romney until the Republican Party said, no, you will think in hive mind with the rest of us.
Yeah.
And you will bow and do it. You will vote exactly as you're told. And
Yeah.
you will tell your congregation to vote exactly as we tell you to tell them to vote.
Ugh.
And that's
Well,
why,
that's
by the
the
way,
nature
that's
of
why
theocracy.
America is not a Christian country, because that's not supposed to be allowed. That's
Yeah.
why Trump wants to get rid of the Johnson Amendment, because that's the only thing pretending to stop this kind of thing,
Yeah.
which we know has been going on in churches forever anyway. When I became an activist 20 years ago, when a church was bragging that their congregation had elected certain judges and senators and such because their ministers told them to vote as a block for this, for religious reasons.
Yeah.
For the purpose being to make the United States a Christian country where they could impose or where they could enforce biblical law. And they meant and specified Levitical.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the sermon, before he really started in on the arguments, quote unquote arguments, he read a letter that Vice President Mike Pence wrote him directly about this sermon. And that was really fun, kind of giving him basically a sense that he believes, the Vice President of the United States directly believes that this is a Christian nation, and that the pulpit matters.
I wouldn't be surprised if Trump thought that the United States or the world was created last Thursday.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised at any idiotic thing that the president says.
What's the constitutional and freedom from religion damage of that type of rhetoric coming from the Oval Office?
Well, it's very damaging, but I can tell you this, and I don't know how many of you guys were there at the Secular Caucus at the Texas Democratic Party Convention yesterday, or day before yesterday. We were at a secular caucus at the Texas State Democratic Convention, and it was overflowing. It was standing room only. There were hundreds of people packed into one room. It was amazing. Every chair was full. There were people lining up against the walls, and people openly expressing their atheism, not just their secularism, but a lot of them saying that it has to be more than just that, because it's not just that secular values are being dissed, it's that there's also religious discrimination or discrimination on the basis of religion to ostracize and eliminate or minimize atheists, and we can't be putting up with that anymore. Yeah. And there were a number of candidates who were declaring themselves non-believers. I was amazed.
Wow.
And a huge audience for that. And I'm glad that somebody is waking up for that. And I'm sorry to say, it took a disaster like Trump getting elected. To stop all those people who used to say, the problem is it's a broken system, don't vote, don't contribute to a broken system, protest by abstaining.
Yeah.
Which of course, they changed their mind. Well, if we don't vote, we get Trump?
Yeah.
That's what happens?
Yeah, we break the system on purpose and watch everything else crumble. It's creepy.
And we didn't have 4 years to run screaming in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
To make everything worse, to allow the mentally deranged to buy guns, to allow industries to dump toxic waste into public water supplies, to make it illegal for people to protest commercial ventures like Standing Rock, for example, where suddenly the press are criminalized and free speech is criminalized. Every provision of the First Amendment has been slashed under Trump.
Yeah.
And we could not afford this. This is more damage than we can fix in another 4-year term.
Right.
There has to be no more, the Republican Party has to completely collapse for us to fix the damage. It's like one candidate was saying yesterday, if you want to go backward, put it in R. If you want to go forward, put it in D.
Oh, that's cool. Final thoughts on the scale of this place and the fountain and the music, and it's really theatrical.
Jeffress asked his parishioners or his congregation to give him, $100 million? And they did. Because they already had another grossly oversized church on the other side of this one, on the other street behind it.
Yeah.
But that was like 100 years old. They had to have a new glass smarmy building.
Yeah.
And of course, these people never actually work for anything. I mean, it's always just give me your money. Look at Ken Ham with his $100 million facade that's made to look like a boat.
Yeah.
A wooden wall made to look like a boat affixed to a building that is collapsing under its own weight after a year of sitting still with a concrete foundation. Can you imagine what would have happened if it was loaded and on rough seas?
Oh man, yeah. Well, that's the beauty of taking a biblical claim and actually physically trying to do it and showing that it doesn't work.
The other thing with that ark is that it had modern waterproofing on the wood, and it still suffered trouble because of rain.
Yeah, I think, what was the argument about the modern engineers had helped in the building of it, and we wouldn't have had that. And like, what was their response to that? Do you remember?
Oh, I can't remember, but they had steel rivets all over everything, and then they had all the air conditioning system. They were originally they have a number of stuffed animals in there, but they were going to have a live zoo.
Stuffed
animals.
animals.
They realized they couldn't put a live zoo of any size because even with the air conditioning system, there would be a huge methane problem right away. Can you imagine on the original Ark, loaded with animals with one window, like the Bible says? Absolutely not going to happen.
Yeah.
But the problem with this is it has nothing to do with truth. It has nothing to do with what you can show to be true or verify correct. The only way that you can improve understanding is to find the flaws in your current perspective and correct them, right?
Yeah.
These people are not about that. It's all about make-believe. And the reason that it is because religion is a means of manipulation of the masses. When you've got one guy who can say, hey, everybody give me your money, and he walks out with $100 million the next day, that's a great gig.
Or
right?
multiple private jets, right?
Exactly, and that's why we still have religion, is because we have stupid people. We have this way of scamming people. Well, I don't want to say stupid, but they're certainly credulous, gullible. They want to believe so bad.
And I think it preys on their natural human, evolutionary tendency to, confirmation bias and all of these things, and seeing what they want to see.
We have a tendency to see patterns in things that don't exist.
Yes.
I mean, like clouds. We see animals in the clouds
and
so
assume
forth.
agency and all of these things. It's evolutionary, which is why this works so well and attracts so many people, is that it specifically preys on our natural psychology, and we have to kind of use critical thinking and education and rationality to dig ourselves out of that hole.
And it is so hard for people to realize that their pastors are predators. I mean, look how long it took for people to realize, and how many of them still don't realize, that the Catholic Church has been protecting pedophile priests for decades upon decades, right? By the thousands.
And still.
Yes, and there are people who still don't get that. When they find the mass graves of the orphanages, and so forth. I don't know if you're familiar in Ireland.
That one I don't know.
Yeah, they found a huge mass grave of babies from these children's homes. They were just undocumented. They'd die and they'd hide their bodies. So there's hundreds of unaccounted for children over the last century.
Well, and meaning today that there are still priests who have been, confirmed that this was an offense that they committed multiple times, and that they're still being protected. They're still in other countries, it's... And
how long does it take for people to realize that? People are starting to wake up to the idea that the creationists, at least, are running a job on them. I mean, that this is obviously a scam. They just need to take it to the next level up. Right? That it's not just the anti-science claims that are being made, it's all of the claims that are being made. There's no truth to any of it. I don't have to say that it's a lie. It's enough to say that there's no truth, meaning that you can't distinguish anything that you're asserting from imagination. That your citation of John 3:16 is no different than my citation of any passage of the Bhagavad Gita or the Avestas of Zarathustra. And they're older. And then somebody's arguing with me, well, you can't prove they're older. Really?
And it's our right to call out when something is being just harmfully misleading. And that's the equality of ideas in America.
It commonly said that faith is pretending to know things you don't know, right? Asserting baseless speculation as though it were fact, which is dishonest. So if you really want truth, if you want to pursue truth, if you want to improve understanding, the first thing you have to do is abandon your faith.
Well, thank you so much, Aron. We're going to continue to fight this fight of the fact that truth matters, that we are all Americans, that we all belong here, and thank you so much for coming out and helping us.
I'm in the fight with you.
Thank you.
An unholy thing.